When I moved here 10 years ago, there were many things I had to overcome. One was social boundaries and culture, and the other was the language. Come back so that I can share with you 5 colloquialisms of my island and what they really mean. Welcome back to Red Couch Chronicles. Hi, I'm Danielle. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. It is so good to have you here once again. I look forward to seeing you every Wednesday and Friday. Listen, do me a favor, and I'm asking this from a personal standpoint. I have 9 more subscriptions to go before I can hit 100. If you would like to be a part of that momentous occasion for me, I ask you that you look down, see if you're subscribed to my channel. If you are not, please do so that your vote, as we can say, can be counted. And if you're already subscribed, I thank you very much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you every Wednesday and every Friday. Now, I am originally from St. Croix, Virgin Islands, as I have explained in several of my videos, I know. And one of the things when I moved to the mainland, like I shared with you, that I had to overcome was a language barrier. And pretty much the reason why you are understanding me as well as you did is because I have assimilated much of, how can I say, the accents, or maybe not necessarily, but I enunciate better, and I have slowed my speech down considerably for how I would usually talk if I were home. And so when I first moved here, that is one of the things even my students had to overcome, was my accent. Miss Walcott, I can't understand what you're saying, or Miss Walcott, you're speaking a little bit too fast, or Miss Walcott, can you say that again? And so it was funny for me, and sometimes it was funny, but sometimes it was tiring because I found myself repeating myself over and over again. Not only that, when I would get into conversation with some of my peers or the people who I were meeting as I again assimilated into my little section here on the mainland, what I found was that I would be in conversation and people would be speaking about different things, and I would, like we say at home, throw in my 2 cents, and many times my 2 cents in the form of anecdotes were not necessarily, or I should say readily understood by the people with whom I was speaking. So today I'm going to share with you 5 Crucianisms that I have picked up along the way as a child. I've either heard my parents talking about it, or friends, or my grandparents coming up, and so of course I know exactly what it means. But if you're on the mainland, or if you have not grown up around Caribbean folk, you might not readily know what these colloquialisms mean. And so the first one I would like to share with you is 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, or like we said home, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And what this simply means is, I say potato, you say patata. It doesn't matter. We are basically saying the same thing. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. A dozen is 12, half of a dozen is 6, so we're both saying the same thing. Interesting, isn't it? The second one that I'd like to share with you is, and this I heard from my father, because I have really, truly never heard my grandmother say this myself, but my father told me that she used to. And she used to like to say, if you're not talking to my face, then that means you're talking to my behind. And of course, she never used to say behind. She used to say the other word. And that simply means, if you're not talking to me, but rather you're talking about me, it really doesn't matter. I'm not interested in what anybody has to say. I don't care what anybody has to say. They did not think it important enough to share it with me. So they're not talking to me. They're talking to my behind. All right? The third one I'd like to share with you is, and my kids hate this one, because for a while, and for the longest while, I was the youngest one. And the anecdote is, the youngest one goes for water, or like we say at home, the youngest one go for water. That means if you're the youngest child, son or daughter, if you're the youngest cousin, if you're the youngest aunt, if you're the youngest uncle, whatever capacity or your title is in the family, if you are the youngest, then you automatically become the gopher. And so one of the glorious things we know when we have kids is that they're the ones who we send, hey, can you go grab my purse? Hey, can you go grab the remote control? Hey, can you go grab whatever? And so I have lived long enough not to be the youngest one anymore in terms of my sisters, my brothers, my aunts, my uncles. I do have a younger brother, but even more so in my home, my kids are the youngest one, so they get to go run all the errands that I need them to go run. The fourth one that I like to share with you is you say one, you say two. You say one, you say two. Basically, there's two sides to a story. You cannot say one, the number one, if you're counting without calling or saying the number two. And what that means is you cannot take anyone or anything at face value. Like I said, there's always two sides to a story. And it would be in your best interest if you're saying one, if you're saying, well, this person said that she heard that somebody else said that their cousin said, then go back to the source and find out if it is true, because you can't say one without saying the number two. And finally, the last one, and this I have lived to see, this I have experienced so many times. You would think, excuse me, that as an adult I would have learned this lesson time and time again. I'm getting better with it though. But the anecdote is, who does bring does carry. Who brings you melee? Who brings you gossip? Who brings you information about others are the very same people who's gonna carry your gossip and your information and your melee to other people, because that's just who they are. They're not giving you free information to say, okay, this is something Danielle and I know, and we know it together by ourselves, and it's a little secret that we have. No, if they're gossiping and they're bringing you information, you can bet your patootie that they're taking any information that you share with them back to somebody else. And there you have it. 5 Crusianisms and what they really mean. So if you are ever out with a group of Caribbean friends as a mainlander and they're saying these things that, number one, maybe their accent is too heavy and you can't understand what they're saying, or if you can get them to slow down, or you can get them to repeat themselves, and they're using these little phrases or colloquialisms or anecdotes that you don't know what they mean, ask them. You might be surprised. Thank you for watching. This has been Danielle on the Red Couch, and until next time, I look forward to seeing you again soon.